The member for Kalgoorlie, sorry.
I find it easier to enter a pub brawl as a police officer than sit here waiting, hand sweating to give this speech.
Sometimes it's like a pub brawl here.
Yeah. Greetings, Mr. Speaker and members. I am extremely proud and honoured to be here today and to have been elected to represent the people of the Goldfields in the seat of Kalgoorlie. Let me first acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we are meeting and pay my respects to their elders, past and present. Mr. Speaker, I wish to congratulate you on being elected and wish you all the best in your new role. May I say, although we sit on opposite sides of the Parliament, we do have something in common, and that is we are both Collingwood supporters. Hopefully this will not be held against us and my colleague, the member for Hillary's. I also extend my congratulations to all the members on their election that were no doubt hard-fought campaigns. I have met many new people from all sides of politics since coming to Parliament, and I believe good friendships will grow from this. I commend parliamentary staff on their professionalism, especially in trying to help us new kids on the block. Their friendly and approachable manner has made it a lot easier settling in. I would like to acknowledge the efforts of the previous member for Kalgoorlie, Wendy Duncan, who retired after serving a 4-year term. Ms Duncan worked very hard and earned the respect of everyone through our large electorate. I am the 16th member for the seat of Kalgoorlie, which covers 555,448 square kilometres, and only the second Liberal to win the seat, the first being Matt Birney in 2001. Prior to Matt Birney, the seat of Kalgoorlie had been held for the majority of 100 years by the Labor Party and has since been held by an independent and a national. Despite this, and despite a strong statewide swing towards Labor in this election, I was fortunate enough to be the only Liberal in the state to gain a seat and the only Liberal to get a swing towards them, winning the primary vote and increasing my lead after allocation of preferences. My electorate stretches up to 1,000 kilometres in some directions and means I will have my work cut out for me, but I look forward to the challenge. I spent many months out door knocking the electorate both in rain and 40-degree heat to find out the concerns residents had, and this personal approach seemed to be very much appreciated by members of the community, many of whom said no candidate or politician had ever knocked on their door before. Often those opposite like to portray this side of the House as coming from the big end of town. I am particularly proud to be elected as the member for Kalgoorlie, as I am a living, breathing example of why this is not the case. I was born in Victoria, but grew up in New South Wales, living in Nowra and Randwick. As my father Sorry.
Would you like a glass of water? Take your time.
As my father Kyran said, oh, sorry.
It's okay.
It's all right, mate.
He was a Lieutenant Commander in the Fleet Air Arm, the Royal Australian. Oh. In the Fleet Air Arm of the Royal Australian Navy, where he flew Skyhawks and later became a navigator on the aircraft carrier HMAS Melbourne. I do apologise.
It's okay. Just take your time. Take a deep breath.
Oh, thank you. My father had always spoken about how he would like me to attend Aquinas College in WA, which was his alma mater. My mother Mary was an air stewardess and later worked in hospital administration. I have a brother Damien, a sister Megan and a half-sister Gail who lives in Queensland. After my father retired from the Navy, he moved the family to Western Australia, where I lived first in Perth, attending Aquinas College, and then Port Hedland, when my father became the State Emergency Services Coordinator for the North West. I worked at the Pier Hotel, Port Hedland. Yes, that's what I said when I walked in, where I became the bar manager at 18. We used to turn over 100 kegs a week. But oddly enough, though I worked in hotels, I never touched a drop myself. Port Hedland is where I met my wife Pam. At school I played rugby union and represented WA in the state schoolboys. Whilst in Port Hedland I continued to play rugby, and this sometimes involved travelling on white knuckle airlines to other towns in the Pilbara. Pam and I eventually moved to Perth, where I continued to work in hotels before joining the WA Police Service in 1982. My first country posting was Kalgoorlie from 1984 to 1988. And after spending a couple of years in Perth and Exmouth, we returned with our 3 children in 1991 and have called Kalgoorlie-Boulder home ever since. I have also relieved in several towns throughout the goldfields. I do not like being idle, so when I had to take 3 months long service leave many years ago, I started a family gardening landscaping business, which grew quite a lot over the years, with all my children working in the business at some stage. This has provided me with some insight into the issues faced by many small businesses. It was sad leaving the police department, and I do miss the camaraderie I had with my police colleagues, but I will always be grateful for my many years spent as a police officer, as it has, among many other things, given me many lifelong friends. Could you just excuse me for a second? Yep. Thank you. Our 3 children are now grown up, with 2 living in Kalgoorlie-Boulder. Kyran Jr., his wife Emma, and their 3 children are making a life for themselves in the goldfields. Kyran manages a mining ground support company and has also recently started a mining personnel business as a joint venture. Our other son Taylor also lives in Kalgoorlie and is currently undergoing an apprenticeship. Our daughter Courtney is a solicitor in Sydney. I believe that getting involved in the community enriches our life, and Pam and I did just that as soon as we arrived in Kalgoorlie-Boulder. We joined sporting and other local organisations, and over the years were rewarded with several life memberships between us, with mine including the Hannans Junior Sports Club, now the Hannans Celtic, Kalgoorlie City Football Club, North Kalgoorlie T-Ball Club, Goldfields T-Ball Association. We started our own junior sporting club, the Hannans Junior Sports Club, with 4 young soccer teams, which has now grown to include teams right through from pre-primary to seniors, and also includes junior netball. Being awarded life memberships is humbling, but being involved and helping the community is something we both strongly believe in, and we are better for it. It has made us part of the community and certainly contributed to my success in the election. Children I coached and mentored way back when are now grown up with families of their own, and it is a bonus that they are now of voting age. I served 3.5 years of a 4-year term as a councillor for the City of Kalgoorlie-Boulder, having had to resign due to my election in Parliament. My wife Pam is also a serving councillor. Whilst on council, I served on several committees, including Australian Airports Association, Kalgoorlie-Boulder Chamber of Commerce, Sister City, Walk of Fame and others. I believe the experience I gained as a councillor will hold me in good stead as a Member of Parliament, though I am sure I will find the roles vastly different. Kalgoorlie-Boulder and the Goldfields is a great place to live, and it will be my privilege over the next 4 years to ensure that it continues to grow and prosper. In order for this to happen, we need to have access to quality health care and education for our families. The Liberal National Government invested many millions of dollars in the Goldfields over the past 8 years, but there is still more work to be done. The new government has committed to building a step-up, step-down sub-acute mental health facility in Kalgoorlie-Boulder, and I urge them to do this as soon as possible. Mental health issues are of great concern in my electorate. Other important projects that require funding in my electorate are the Norseman Tourist Centre, which was promised funding by the government during the election, and the redevelopment of the historic Coolgardie Post Office. Menzies, although small, still needs our attention, and in order to grow and remain sustainable, it needs its own water source. Menzies currently has to truck in their water from Kalgoorlie, but there is another water source just 9 kilometres from town. If we could build a 600-kilometre water pipeline over 100 years ago, I would like to think we could build a 9-kilometre one today. Whilst the goldfields has always relied on mining and will continue to do so, in order to ensure longevity and growth, we need to diversify and support the establishment of other industries. The completion of the Outback Way will help grow tourism and open up not just the goldfields, but the whole of WA to new opportunities from other states. Increased tourism means increased jobs and economic benefits for everyone. In order to assist our pastoral industry, we must see the completion of wild dog fences around our pastoral leases. If we can get control of the wild dog situation, we will see growth in our sheep industry, which will be an economic boon for our region and provide jobs. Sheep stations in the area that used to run over 15,000 sheep are now just down to a couple of hundred, some even less, and they're having to rely on other forms of income to keep their stations going. One pastoralist advised me he has so few sheep left, he knows each of them by name. Stock theft is also a huge issue, and I believe we may need to see a return to the old-style police stock squad. Station owners are losing hundreds of thousands of dollars when targeted by professional cattle rustlers and stock thieves. Another issue we need to look at is FIFO, fly in, fly out, in regional communities. Whilst there are some benefits to FIFO, I believe a residential workforce cannot be underestimated, as it encourages families to settle in our towns, which then creates higher school enrolments, increased spending and improves community stability and morale. Being residential in the town, close to where you work, enables families to spend more time together. FIFO can also contribute to domestic and mental health issues among employees and their families. I would encourage the government to consider implementing restrictions on companies using FIFO, the FIFO model, where the work location is within a specific distance to a town, making FIFO the exception rather than the rule. Having said this, I would like to commend many of our local mining companies who do have a policy of employing a residential workforce. Royalties for Regions has served Country WA very well and must remain as a major funder of necessary services and facilities, not just for the goldfields, but for all regional Western Australia. My son Kyran, who works in recruitment, says there are plenty of jobs in the goldfields, but we must be able to attract and keep workers and their families in the region so that we can remain sustainable, or it will be bad news, not just for us, but for all WA. I understand the government wants to make changes, but they must not be to the detriment of regional WA. People in the country deserve to be treated to the same services and facilities as people in the metropolitan area. Having been a policeman for 34 years, it would be remiss of me not to talk about law and order. Whilst it is different now, I remember when I used to do lone patrols in a van out to Kanana and other Aboriginal communities, hundreds of kilometres from Kalgoorlie. Being a policeman in the country, you never knew what you were going to face from day to day. I was honoured during some of these visits to be invited to watch corroborees and other tribal ceremonies, something not many white people get to see. I would like to say that I think it is unfortunate that police officers are made to resign if they wish to run for state politics. Whilst it is important for the government to increase police numbers, in the meantime, I would like to see police auxiliary officers based in the goldfields to help free up more fully trained police officers for frontline duty. I also think it is imperative that we recruit more Indigenous police officers. We only have one Aboriginal police officer in the whole of the goldfields. Engaging with students at high schools is one way to try to encourage more Indigenous students into police and other emergency service careers. I would also like to see community relations officers employed to assist police engage with people on the street. Having police on the streets and on the front line is one of the most important tools to combat antisocial behaviour and crime. I don't believe it is feasible to man some police stations 24 hours if it means taking police off the streets. I am a firm believer in foot patrols and community engagement in deterring criminal activity. It gives people a sense of safety so they can go about their business. With the completion of our new prison in Boulder, I am keen to see prisoners trained in real-life work and in real life and work skills, so that when they leave prison, they have good employment prospects and less chance of re-offending. I especially believe that where appropriate, Aboriginal prisoners should be trained and accredited in plant and equipment operation, such as graders, bobcats, compactors, etc., so that when they return to their communities, they can secure employment, helping to build roads and infrastructure, not just for their community, but for surrounding areas as well. For instance, the Outback Highway, creating jobs where currently there may be none. There will also provide ongoing jobs as the roads and infrastructure will need to be maintained. Having recently attended the opening of the new student accommodation at the Western Australian School of Mines, I would like to emphasise the importance of this very esteemed educational facility in my electorate. The WA School of Mines was established in 1902 and specialises in mining-related subjects. The school has a vision to make the Kalgoorlie campus an international centre of excellence. May I have an extension? Thank you. The project involving WA School of Mines alumni, City of Kalgoorlie Boulder, Central Regional TAFE and Curtin University. It will ensure future prosperity, jobs investment and socially sustainable communities in the goldfields and Greater Western Australia, with plans to expand into the Pilbara. I would like to commend Bill Beament, Raleigh Finlayson, Sam Spearing and others on their foresight and efforts in attempting to get this project off the ground. I hope that the government will look favourably upon funding requests, as this will be a great asset to the goldfields and our state. I would like to commend Robert Hicks and his team from the Goldfields Individual and Family Support Association, GIFSA, for the work they are doing in remote Aboriginal communities with carers and those with disabilities. With the implementation of the NDIS and with that being managed from Geelong, I hope they continue to work collaboratively with GIFSA to maintain the high standard of service currently being provided by them. Much of it has been said of late regarding our state's unfair share of the GST, so I won't go too much into it, except to say that we must all keep pushing hard to ensure WA gets a return of more than the current 34 cents in the dollar. We should not be penalised for not having poker machines or because some other states refuse to have mining. One suggestion would be for all states to retain, for example, 75% of their GST revenue, and for the balance of 25% go into a special fund to help those states that need more. I am looking forward to working with Mike Nahan, MLA, Leader of the Opposition. Like me, the Leader of the Opposition is not a career politician, has come into politics later in life after a significant pre-parliamentary career. I am honoured Dr. Nahan has assigned me the shadow portfolio of Aboriginal affairs, especially as it is my first term. During my term in the Goldfields, I believe I have earned the respect of the local Aboriginal population, working with them closely over the years. In 2000, I was awarded Goldfields Top Cop for my efforts in engaging with the Aboriginal people and attempting to learn to speak their local language. Because I was very young when I first came to Kalgoorlie, the Aboriginal people bestowed on me the nickname Babyface. To this day, this is still how I am referred to, not just by the Aboriginals I met when I first arrived, but now also by their children and grandchildren, though the name Babyface may not be quite so apt today as it was back then. I want to work in consultation with Aboriginal groups, agencies and the government to provide better outcomes, and believe that if we can work together instead of banging heads, we will get more done. Funding provided for programs for Aboriginal people needs to make its way down to the grassroots where it is needed most, and we need to try to get more cooperation between different family groups. I have already had a meeting with the Minister for Aboriginal Affairs, Ben Wyatt MLA, and I am hoping that by working together we can set an example and make positive inroads into providing a better life for our Indigenous citizens. As already mentioned, the seat of Kalgoorlie is a very large electorate, and I tried to get out to all the outlying towns at least a couple of times during the campaign. I would now like to take the opportunity to thank everyone who helped or contributed in some way to my success. I am sorry I cannot name everyone, but in Kalgoorlie Boulder, I thank Brian Christie, Jason Wells, Jodie Richardson, Matty Hawkes, Doug Dawes, Diana and Lindsay Stockdale, and the many others who assisted in getting me across the line. Andrew Cox and Linda Crook and all the staff from Liberal HQ, always available to assist with advice and logistics. Thank you also to Glenn Baker, who organised my polling booths for Menzies, Leonora and Leinster. Peter Hill, who ran Laverton, and also Paul Axford, who came down from Leonora to assist. I thank my best friends, Jeff and Anne Adriasovich, both of whom are in the gallery today, who travelled up from Perth to help me, and to my other best friends, Cherie and Richard Hood, who were always there to provide moral support. To our party members and my supporters who did such a terrific job manning all the polling booths across our enormous electorate and helping out where they could, I extend my deepest appreciation. My sincere thanks go to Rick Wilson, MP, Federal Member for O'Connor, the two Liberal members for the Mining and Pastoral Region, Mark Lewis, MLC, and Ken Baston, MLC, for their advice and expertise. I was fortunate that several ministers, including then Premier Colin Barnett, MLA, and members of Parliament visited the electorate over the past several months, and I'm grateful for their support and guidance. Thank you. In particular, Lisa Harvey and Peter Collier were very supportive. I would also like to commend my two new electorate staff, Diane Bridges and Helen Beasley, for getting my office in Kalgoorlie Boulder up and running from scratch. Both ladies have a strong background in working in the government sector and have hit the ground running, showing great professionalism in helping get things off the ground. Lastly, I would like to thank my family, my wife Pam in the gallery today, throughout the long campaign. She worked extremely. You did well. To my children, Kyran Jr., Courtney, who came from Sydney, Taylor and daughter-in-law Emma, I thank you for your moral support and the many different ways each of you assisted throughout the campaign. Oh. Even my grandchildren, Isla, Kyran, yes, another Kyran, the fourth one, and Emmy, aged from 2 to 7, helped out at various stores and markets. You all make me very proud. Mr Speaker, I joined this Parliament with a background in policing, local government and small business, and I reiterate my commitment to the people of the Goldfields to work hard on their behalf and with honesty and integrity to represent them to the best of my ability and to try to make the Goldfields an even better place to live and raise a family. Thank you.
No.